is you're talking about going 0-4 against our two biggest rivals.
I
And,
understand that.
and then, okay, and if we lose this year, how are you going to beat them next year? They're going to be better. Auburn's probably not going to be as good.
If
We lose a
if
lot,
we lose those, if we lose those games,
and then we're 0-5
it's going to seriously impact recruiting in a negative way.
against. That's the other thing too. We're recruiting the same kids for the most part that those other schools are, and you ain't going to win any of those battles if you're constantly losing to them.
If you're in a recruiting
through eventually,
if you're going after a kid and you're Georgia and you've beat, hey, Auburn's your next best team? Seriously? They haven't beaten us in 5 years. I mean, that's already happening now. So,
Kirby's owning us on the recruiting.
The only
Kirby's
positive
owning everybody
except Nicky.
The only positive thing, and I'm not saying it's old news because, like I said, I still get chill bumps every time I see the replay of the kick six, right? Like every time. But the thing is that we've been using those two things, and we still are using them to this day as a heavy recruiting tool. That's not going to last.
Just think your priorities are right now.
And the thing is, like, you have to beat your rivals, though. That's part of college football. I mean,
and you have to beat them.
If we lose,
home.
say we go 10-2 again next year, and we lose to Alabama and Georgia, is that okay? Going 0 and then losing 5 years in a row to them? I mean, at some point you have to say, no, it's not okay. Well, I'll tell you this: we'll never win a championship when we lose both of them.
Okay, I understand those things. But at the same time, how many teams a year win national titles?
One. Okay. But you're not going to be that one if you lose those two.
I understand that, but my point is there's only one team that wins a national title every year. It's so rare to win national titles. It really is. Especially if your name's not Alabama or USC.
Well, but a big problem is what we're talking about. I mean, right down the road, we're having to go against those guys.
That's and I think Casey, you're hitting
in a cycle. But you're in a cycle where Alabama they're just playing a different game.
Well, that's my point.
They're just recruiting it at a different level.
That's
unreal.
That's true. I think you have more money than anybody going to those guys.
Casey,
it's right now. It's Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama, and everybody else.
Casey, but that's it. That's the thing. If we were Florida and we're losing to FSU every year, maybe it's different. If we're Michigan losing to Ohio State, maybe it's
and
different.
Michigan State, but because it's both of them.
Okay, so and I mean, let's take somebody that hasn't won a national championship. If we're, I don't know, what's another rivalry that even halfway matters? If
USC, UCLA.
There you go. So if we're UCLA and we're losing to USC, it's not as big a deal because our arch rival isn't winning national championships. Because Alabama is our arch rival, they're our in-state rival. They're winning championships. It would be different if they weren't, and we were both just competing to
can't
compete
just
for
roll
the SEC
over and
West
say
title.
Here, have it. I mean, you can't do that.
I'm not saying that you need to roll over. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's not okay to lose. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that you're just in a cycle where Alabama is at the top of the world, and that's a tough pill to swallow, and it sucks because that's what you guys have to deal with. As
then you go get the guy who can put you at the top of the world at least once.
Because if we're Tennessee, we're not having this conversation.
Hold on, you have somebody that has put you at the top of the world once and got you back there again. So don't say to me he's
son of a gun. I'll give him that.
Because guess what? You go out there and hire somebody else, they might not get you back there.
I mean, if we do hire somebody else too, I want a big name, but that's another story.
That's the other thing. You're going to go out and go get somebody that's going to beat Nick Saban at his own game? Because there's only one guy out there.
I'm not saying to beat him every single time either. I'm saying, though, when does it end? Like, is next year okay? Like, are we still going to say it's okay to lose to Alabama and Georgia? And then after that is the next year? I mean, can we lose 6 years in a row to our arch rivals?
But you make it seem like there's a clear gap. Like there's a Grand Canyon between you and Alabama right now. For how many quarters was that game close last year?
It was very close.
If you had any semblance of a working offense with healthy people and a quarterback that can throw the ball, you might just win that game because your defense played stellar for quite a while until
that one's not the one that kills me. It's Georgia that kills me. Because Gus single-handedly lost that game.
About to fall off. Yeah, because Sean White's arm was literally hanging on by a thread.
They didn't have to have him keep throwing the ball, though.
We were down Cameron Petway and Kerryon Johnson. We're playing with an injured Kerryon Johnson, and Cam Petway sat out.
I mean, it's always you're going to be out of guys by the second to last game.
This conversation, as interesting as it is not entirely relevant because we're now talking about last year.
Right.
We're talking about now this year.
I'm saying you have to can him if he loses both of those games.
If you go search Facebook and go back to last year's post Georgia podcast or post regular season podcast when we were in the depths of despair about those two losses, I was a Gus apologist then because I said, listen, you can't say he lost this game because look at we were a decimated team at that point.
And that's my point. You guys are saying they've lost these games all in a row, but look at the circumstances of which you've lost them under. Now, if you go in,
you got to win it. Though.
If you go into Georgia and you go into Alabama games and you're full strength and it's helmet on helmet and you're all guns a-blazing and you get your socks blown off, now we're talking a different story.
Okay, so 2 years ago. We didn't get our socks blown off.
Well, that's Sean White. You still had crap quarterbacks. You had crappier quarterbacks.
But so if he gets hurt every year, is it okay to lose to Georgia? I mean,
if you don't have a quarterback,
if it happens 10 years in a row, is that okay?
Well, if you're running out third-string quarterbacks every year you play them, yeah, probably. That's my point. You've had really bad circumstances for which you've played.
Then he's got bad luck, and we need somebody else with better luck. I mean,
you just made an argument for luck.
That's the quote of the night.
Sometimes, it's luck. Sometimes you need to be
if we're going for luck, and we fire Gus Malzahn for bad luck, we need to do it soon so we can hire Les Miles. It's freaking he's the luckiest guy ever.
You're hiring Les Miles, exactly.
Oh.
He's luckiest son of it. I think Ole Miss would do the best they could by hiring him, just for the record. That's the best
another thing to do.
I know. Just wanted to sneak that in there.
I think they do. I think they hire him. Okay. That's what I was hoping for. That conversation right there.
Good.
Fantastic. So we're gonna just kind of breeze through the schedule real quick. Just talk about what the schedule is because I don't know if all of our listeners have looked at the schedule and what it holds. We'll talk about it.
Okay. It seems like a schedule would deserve another one, but
we're going to go through the schedule in depth and give predictions for each game and matchups and so on and so forth in our next podcast. We're just going to go through and kind of run through the schedule.
I got you. Okay. I apologize.
So, and then we're done. So
yes, sir.
I'm sorry. First game up. For the first time since, if you want to, you can call Washington State a powder puff all you want to. I'm not gonna.
I said that was the best.
It was the closest thing to it, and they're a legit football team. That was all I
said. I wasn't saying they're a real powder puff.
So they're the closest thing to it. So I don't remember the last time we started off with a cupcake, but doggone it, we do this year, and I can't. I think it's the best move we've made in a long time. Georgia Southern on September the 2nd. Give our boys somebody else to hit that's not going to, destroy us.
Well, I told you my only problem with that game.
Go ahead. Tell the listeners.
They run the option, the triple option.
So it's not that he's
That's the
afraid.
only thing that bothers me.
It's not that he's afraid of the triple option, like they're going to sneak
No,
up
I'm not afraid of that at all.
on us like Navy or something like that. It's more or less that our guys won't get a true, test and
a good tune-up before Clemson.
But you know what it is, because it's live football in a game that counts, and I think that's really more than what it is. The second game of the year at Clemson on the road. It's, it is what it is. I always say that it's defending national champions. We know they lost a lot, but it's kind of a win-win situation here. As long as you don't get throttled, you're fine. If you're going to lose,
you better win that game.
I think we're going to win that game. I believe we're going to win that game. But if you lose a close game there, your season isn't over. It just makes it a little bit harder. It's not a conference loss. It could be overcome.
But you better be rooting for Clemson to win the ACC.
Sure. Which ain't gonna happen. But so then another kind of rebound, get healthy game if need be at that point against Mercer. Love that. Love not playing, a division opponent the third week of the year, particularly LSU. Then we go on the road to Missouri the week after that. Another perfectly winnable game. Then we get both Mississippi teams 2 weeks consecutively at our place. Mississippi State first, then followed by Ole Miss. Great timing for both those games. Love playing the Mississippi teams at home. We fare much better against them historically at home. Then we start our road trip. We go to LSU on the 14th of October. That's a key game. Absolutely,
that's a big one.
A key game, probably the most important game on the schedule this fall.
1999,
and we got a chance to do it this year. I would love to tell you what LSU's thinking, but I can't understand a word that comes out of Ed Orgeron's mouth. Then we go.
I didn't do it this time. It was somebody else who made fun of his voice.
Then we go to Arkansas the following week.
Bert.
I think we'll be fine there. Then,
Gus.
Fortunately, the only redeeming quality to this 3-game road stand is that we have a bye week in between Arkansas and Texas A&M. So then on the 4th of November, we go and see Texas A&M. I'm 100% confident we're going to win that game because the home team has never won in our series with Texas A&M since they joined the SEC West.
I'm confident you're going to win it because A&M doesn't have any quarterbacks left. I'm pretty sure they all transferred out.
It's also November, and it's Kevin Sumlin.
Yep, so they are due to implode about that time. Kevin Sumlin's blood type will have reached a full 80 proof. And so then we got Georgia at home after that, and yet again another good placement game here. Louisiana Monroe at home, followed by the University of Alabama Tuscaloosa at home. A game which all three of us will be attending. So
yeah,
so that's the schedule. Other than the 3-game road stand, which is marginally redeemed by the bye week in the middle, and the toughest game, and I really like this about that, the toughest game and the most important game in that series is the first one before we are kind of weary from traveling from city to city across the Southeast. So it's probably the best schedule. Krause, you said earlier tonight, you said there was an easy schedule. I wouldn't call it an easy schedule. I don't think there's an easy schedule in the SEC West, but I do think it's the most favorable schedule that I can remember Auburn ever having.
Absolutely.
Which means
last year.
Which means that next year is going to be so much harder. So now's the time.
Yeah, next year is going to be tough.
So now's the time, right? Like now's the time to go out there and get some wins and make something happen.
If not to get so far ahead of us, but if you can make it through Washington in the kickoff bowl next year, and you show that you're that good, because next year is when Washington should be at the peak of its power, with their quarterback being a senior after he broke the Pac-12 touchdown record this year. you can make it through next year's schedule. You're well on your way to national title